Hello everyone and welcome to a new series I am doing on my channel called Character Files. This series is for working on exactly what the title says, my character files. That will mean working on a different range of things for each character, such as ref sheets, wardrobes, plot drawings, buildings, locations, weapons, and I will even include some of my original YCHs into the mix. I will be posting character files every Tuesday, so have notice on. If you are interested in looking at the character's Toy House page, it will be linked below. If you like my character design content, but want longer versions, this may be a perfect fit for you, but do let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will try my best to make this series as fun and productive as I can. Enjoy! The character we are working on today is Lightning. But before we dive into today's drawings and character work, let me break down what we are working on and the tasks. Draw Lightning a new basic ref sheet, front and back, with both normal and lightning designs. Design concepts for Lightning's light sword. Draw a picture of him and Diane to get more examples of them together. Draw a picture of him and Bowser to get an understanding of their height differences. And lastly, animate the Pixie Sticks animation meme YCH to get better at consistently drawing his hair. Once we are all done with that, I will be adding all this to Toy House and making it look pretty and organized. As we go along, I will be explaining each task and why it is important, so let's go ahead and start with Lightning's ref sheet. Alright, Lightning's number is number 32 on my character list. This, I just cataloged my characters by number. This doesn't necessarily mean that they're an older character, the lower number, but the higher the number typically is a newer character, because I keep adding on. But the original, couple hundred of my characters, they're not in order, so just gonna clarify that. But he is number 32 on the list. He is a character I have owned since 2018. His earliest file I can find is dated back to July 17th, 2018. The earliest picture being this one from my 100th post on DeviantArt, back when DeviantArt was good. I actually believe this drawing was the first time I picked his colors, which were changed to his current version, which I did a ref sheet for in 2020. This is the most up-to-date besides the ref sheet we are, of course, going to be doing now. Now, him being made back in 2018 means Lightning has been with me for 6 years, which makes me feel very old. I was 16 when I first started drawing his concepts. Now, looking back at that 100th post on DeviantArt, I must say my ability to pick colors for characters has improved drastically. My more recent designs are just more appealing to the eye and I've developed more of a style when it comes to picking colors, which is most people don't really address that you can pick a style when it comes to colors. However, most older characters don't get too many color changes just because I like their nostalgia and the energy that they give from being back then. But I can remember how I felt back then picking Lightning's colors or Diane or Kate compared to how I feel about it now. And it really is night and day. And it's really odd that that's a core memory for me, that I remember picking their colors. And I'm I questioned myself a lot more. And I question myself now, but I can understand the logic behind certain colors. And I think that really helps. Although Lightning is an old character, I do remember drawing his original sketch. But I cannot seem to find the exact picture. It was a digital sketch on my laptop, I believe, which is unfortunate, but I'm just glad his character did not get lost to time, or 2018 me just not realizing that saving files is important, which please learn from my mistakes, organize your character files. I say this with love. Please just do it, and also put the year on your artwork. Dating your artwork to me makes it more valuable, because let's say back in 2018, when I designed Lightning, I had a specific style I will never inherently have again. Sure, I could mimic it, but I would never do it justice. It's kind of like having a younger person in your life where they're very little and they make something from a specific year back when they were little. They're never gonna do that, be like that person again. They're never gonna create like they did back then. And when you have the knowledge of when that thing was made or what that person was doing, and that they took the time out of their life to draw that certain character or make you something, it just gives it a sense of importance. This is also why I like having fan art with dates on it, because I feel like that person cared enough about me and my characters enough to draw them. I won't get all sentimental on you, but I just think it's important, and I feel like a lot of people don't say it enough. I wish I was told this information or made aware that it was so important, but I will tell you, and you're welcome. But it is really crazy to think that after 6 years, I still remember sketching his original, like, dumb picture, his dumb little face. I actually wasn't planning on keeping him. I was just, like, doodling, or, like, just, I don't know. I was just drawing to draw. But I kept him because his hair pattern was so weird that it stuck in my brain. He actually might be my first anthro cat design. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that title goes to him. At least, if there were any other anthro cats, they clearly weren't as important. But if you're wondering, Smokey was designed after Lightning, so Smokey is not in the running for that title. Now, for his ref sheet, he will have 2 designs, or 2 forms. Yes, they're very similar, but they are different in colors. His normal form being his, like, brown palette, the normal kind of tiger cat looking thing. And then his fighting palette, which is more orangey and more yellow and more vibrant. Although his whole plot hasn't been developed, his fighting design will be given to him after he's struck by lightning, or, like, he will go when he's in his, like, original form. He, like, channels all this energy, then gets struck by lightning, and then that gives him his colors. And this will be, something he can channel during combat. It's kind of like a basic concept, but, like, what's wrong with basic? I don't know. Maybe it's more clever than I think it is, but, like, let's be real. I don't think it's that clever. Lightning is a very combative character and doesn't really trust anyone since he was abandoned by his mother and adopted by his new mama, Diane. I will get into this more when we draw them together, but Lightning is very rebellious, and I feel his design suits him well and just fits that rebellious energy he has. His energy is just cheeky and arrogant, and that's powerful of him. A fun thing about Lightning's design is his choker. When I started out designing some of my first characters, I gave a few of them chokers with specific gems. The characters that have them are Noah, Lucas, Zach, which are my panda band characters, then Kate, and then Lightning. I actually want to use this as an important, like, piece in his lore and a plot point to the comic, or to my comic, but I haven't decided exactly how just yet, but I feel like that's worth mentioning. But that does lead into Lightning being a difficult character to work on, since he is an old character. I call it old character syndrome, where you feel like no matter how you draw that character, it feels it doesn't look right because your brain is expecting to see it in your old art style. This has always made Lightning harder to draw, but it also makes me draw him more than others because I feel like it's never correct and there's always more space to work on. But here are the things we are changing about Lightning's design. First, I am throwing out the torn clothes. I like it for his design, but it's just too tedious to do over and over, and I feel like I'm inconsistent when doing it, so I'm just gonna throw it out. Now, he also had originally these 2, like, hair tufts on the side of his face that didn't really connect to anywhere and didn't make sense. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to get rid of those completely. I'm going to add them to his ear fluffs and have them, like, hang down to help frame his face. So these little 2 pieces are connected to his ear fluffs. It's a little odd, but I kind of like it. I don't know, I kind of vibe with it. I think what we'll do in the future or next character file is probably do, like, a 3D head rotation, or like a, what's the word? Like a chart of, like, each, like, angle of his head. That way we have a better understanding of his hair and how it works, because it is really unique and interesting, and I really do want to keep that as something that's important, because I also think it really helps his silhouette as well. I am also adding 2 tufts at the bottoms of his cheeks, like actual, like, tiny tufts to the bottoms of his cheeks, to help get that fur texture throughout the design, because it's not really on the face, and I feel like it could be. I feel like it's a good idea. I will also be adding some bold fluffs to his calves to match the boldness of his hair on top, because I feel like it's kind of unbalanced without it. Besides that, there aren't many other changes. I will be altering his color palette placement slightly, like putting some pink on the cuffs of his shorts, adding more colors onto the gem of his choker, putting like some more light colored spots on his body, and pink on the bottoms of his feet as well. So this is the final ref sheet. I didn't like it at first. I gave it a couple days. I really like it. I think it's really good. I think we're stepping in the right direction. And yeah, honestly, I can't really, I mean, I could complain, but I'm not going to. I think it's really good. And I like that we've improved so much on his design. I think maybe his body type isn't exactly there quite yet, but I think drawing him repetitively, it'll help, you know, finalize it. Now we are on to Lightning's sword concept designs. For Lightning Sword, I have drawn a concept for it once back in 2019. I did this drawing while I was in a Bible class. I don't remember the specific title for the class. I know it was, you know, obviously a religious one, like a biblical one. Which, I mean, that's not why I didn't pay attention in class. I just didn't pay attention in most of my classes. Which, there are deeper issues to that, but that's not what this video is about. So, I'm gonna move on. But I did draw that during class. But this sword is very rigid and has a diamond theme. Now we are going to keep the diamond theme since his mother is a queen and the territory she rules is the City of Diamonds, so it will be on brand for him to have that theme. So we will keep it. But for the colors, younger me was thinking green. Current me is thinking use the colors I used for his choker for consistency. I love the idea of green, but let's be real. I want his design to be as professional as possible and balanced. So we'll go with the pink, yellow, and silver, but I love the idea that younger me thought green was a good idea. I will color in 4 total variants of the sword, 2 for each form, so when I go to use them, I can pick whichever I like. I want the sword to be kind of like reflective, so in one angle the sword will look more yellow, but from another more pink. This won't really translate into my comic style, but if I did a realistic cosplay of him, that's how I would want it to look in reality. And for now, I'm calling this sword his light sword. That may change, but I do like it. And I really like the final results of this. I think it looks good. I think it looks clean. It's exactly how I wanted it. So I'm very happy with it. Now, on to Diane and Lightning. Diane's number on my character list is 25. Originally, she was drawn in an old sketchbook. Here is the first drawing of her ever. Diane's earliest digital character file is dated back to the same file Lightning's is, July 17th, 2018. So that same picture with the group of my characters for that 100th post. That drawing was also the first time I ever picked Diane's colors. And they are pretty much the same to today's design, but she has had a few dress variations. I never seem to be happy with her dress, so I'm sure in her future character design file, or character file, I'm sure we'll discuss it. But when I was picking her colors in that 100th picture, I do remember that I didn't feel that they were always the right choices. You know, we talked about it earlier that I have definitely improved on character color picking, and I know Diane's was one of the ones I always questioned. Am I going to change her now? No, because I like the nostalgic feeling she gives me, but if I had to redo her colors, they would probably not be anywhere close to what they are now. Or maybe they would, who knows. But the first traditional drawing I did of Diane was really late at night. Technically, actually probably early in the morning, like 4 a.m. This was back when me and my sister shared a room, and I was sleeping on the top bunk of our bunk bed. I believe it was a time when my parents left to go on a trip, it's like a little vacation, so it was just me and Chrissy in the house. I was actually on a Monster High binge on Netflix when I was drawing Diane. And Diane's design was actually, believe it or not, this is really, really stupid, inspired by 2 Pokemon. The first Pokemon being Hawlucha, because I love him. He is one of my favorite Pokemon ever. I didn't really get an appreciation for him until I played Pokemon Y, and then the second one being Oddish. Not because I really like Oddish. Oddish isn't really one of my favorite Pokemon. Sorry, that was my phone. Ignore that. But just because, I don't know, Oddish is cute, and I felt like it would, I don't know, add something to the design. I'm not sure why or how my brain got to Diane from those 2. But it just happened. Maybe you can see it. Maybe how that it's inspired from those two. I don't know. I can actually remember my thought process, but looking back on it, like, it's dumb and doesn't make sense. Now, Diane is Lightning's adoptive mother, as I said earlier. She is the Queen of Diamonds and rules the City of Diamonds, which is obviously a location in my comic. It is one of the more bigger cities, one of the more important places. Now, she is absolutely tiny and is a doll, so she is very, very fragile, but she never lets that stop her from doing what she wants. Now, she found Lightning in a box in a back alley while going on a little expedition. After hearing Lightning strike and a kitten scream, she rushed to see if the scream from whoever it was, if they were okay, and she found two kitten eyes staring back at her, and they were, of course, Lightning's. Now, when the lightning struck, his wound was fresh, and put the pieces together. Could have been from lightning, who knows? But his scar hadn't been formed, and the mark was there. The mark of the lightning was there. While on this expedition in her city, she was being accompanied by her soldier, Freya. Since Diane is a doll and tiny, she could not carry Lightning, despite Lightning, being a baby. So Freya was enlisted to carry Lightning. This then leads to Diane adopting Lightning and taking care of him the best she could, of course, along with help from Freya and the royal staff, because Diane, of course, she can't do it by herself. Lightning now is royalty and grows up to be a rebellious cat and causes problems for everyone. Just like a classic little rebellious child. Obviously, since my comic isn't done, I can't give you all the juicy details, but that is the gist of their humble beginnings together. Diane loves Lightning no matter what he does, and at the end of the day, despite how much mischief he gets into, Lightning would gladly lay down his life for his mama, but Diane would gladly lay down her life for him. Now for the drawing, I actually had a hard time getting Lightning right. I think it's more of the older character syndrome. I'm just not used to drawing him in this new way or new style or just in general. But I don't think I got him perfectly right. But we do character files to work on characters, not be perfect, so it's okay. However, I absolutely love the idea of Lightning carrying Diane on his tail. I think that is very cute. I think it's adorable. I just imagine her not being able to reach tall things, and then Lightning can just lift her up with his tail to reach things. It's just so cute. Like, I imagine Diane, like, on the ground, trying to reach up to her desk, and she can't climb up it herself, so Lightning just puts his tail on the floor, Diane hops on, and he lifts his tail up, and boom, she's on the table. I think that's adorable. I think overall this drawing is really good progress, and it's the first example of them together, which is kind of shocking. I really should have drawn them together before this, especially since I've had this plot idea for forever. Like, I've had this concept for a long, long time. But I did find things to go back to Lightning's Refsheet and change, like add that scar mark into his eyebrow. I thought that was a really good idea, and I think that really helped solidify his design a little more, and I think this drawing will look really good on both of their pages. And this is the final. Again, I love it. I think it's great. Is it perfect in a lot of spots? No, but like, I love the fact that this is their first drawing together. I just think it's great. Now we are on to Bowser. Bowser is a character I was gifted from one of my favorite people in the whole world, my bestie from Canada, Katara. I love that girl. Bowser's character file is number 900. Oh my goodness. Number 599. And his earliest file on record is from February 4th, 2023. That picture being a base Katara colored in with a color palette I gave her. She did an absolutely amazing job balancing the colors and frankly deserves an award for this perfection. Now, the earliest drawing I did of him dates back to February 5th, 2023, so it took me all of one day to become obsessed with him. And I'm still obsessed, frankly. Now, since I first got him back in 2023, I'm recording this during 2024, which it'll go up in 2025, but I have had him for like a year. Or actually 2. I don't know, I can't math. Yeah, it's been like a decent amount of time, but not crazy amount. Now, for Bowser's personality, I can only describe him as being an arrogant jerk. Yes, really. He is that, cocky and arrogant, mostly caring for himself. He gets this trait due to most people he has encountered from a young age fearing him. They feared him. They feared him for his strength and his fangs. They viewed it as something negative. So it made Bowser build his walls and learn that disrespecting people first gets them to leave you alone. I think we've probably all been there. Which, of course, disrespect could never stop Lightning from poking his way into other people's lives. So it isn't long until they are friends. But of course, they would never agree they are friends. They would just blame each other for never leaving them alone. But Bowser being arrogant comes from no one else believing him. So it made him create this facade that he is the best. And over time, he has genuinely started to believe it. Because when no one believes in you, it's kind of difficult to live. So you just kind of lie to yourself to make you feel better. I've been there personally. I don't even think Bowser really comprehends the fact he did this to himself. I just think he genuinely believes he's the best. Now for him and Lightning, they are both in the same friend group. I like to label this group as the Lightning Gang, but that isn't necessarily official. But for today's video, that is what I will be calling it. This gang consists of Lightning, Bowser, Aseneth, tongue-tied, and Gina. Then down the line, they pick up one other character, and that is Ivy. There may be more depending on the future, but that is the current version of the group. But in this friend group, Lightning and Bowser are the only two males as of now, and of course, this leads to them being competitive and their desire to be alphas, which childish behavior, I know, but what can you do? Their personalities clash because they are so similar and they have the biggest egos. Although they both are very competitive towards each other, they both would defend each other no matter what and care about each other deeply. But since they are boys, they would never admit that a day in their lives. They would rather die before they admit that. For this drawing, I also feel I didn't nail down Lightning's design. I really don't think his face kind of looks like him. I think it's going to be a lot more drawings before I stop inherently thinking and seeing him in his old style and my old style. So please just bear with me. I am working on it, but that's what this video is for. I'm sure probably a lot of you think it looks fine since you're not used to seeing him just yet. But I'm still struggling. However, in this drawing, I really made strides on Bowser's body type. I really captured exactly how I want him to look. I've drawn him a few times already, but this is the best I've done with getting the body type I want. So I'm so very happy with that. I couldn't be more thrilled. His face is a little off, but I feel like that's me being picky on him. It still looks really good, but I am so very happy with how he turns out. Now, I also made Bowser a little taller than Lightning. Since Lightning is supposed to be speedy, I want him to be smaller and shorter. Bowser is actually quite strong. He's got like unbelievable strength, so he is larger and bulkier. So they actually balance each other out pretty well. And everything considered would be pretty equal in a fight between the two of them. Even though Bowser's got, the big strength, Lightning's really quick and can dodge him pretty easy. But like one hit and oh my goodness, he's probably out. This actually makes them a really good fighting duo, which is one of the reasons I did pair them up. I think it would be really cool to see how their plot develops when they have to work together. I feel you really learn a lot about people when they have to put their egos aside and work together for a common interest. I think that'll also show them that at the end of the day, they care about other people and they're actually good. Like Lightning's not bad despite how mischievous he is, and neither is Bowser despite how much of a jerk he is. But they both really care, and at the end of the day, they'll put their egos aside to protect the ones they love. And I think that's adorable. I actually arranged their tails with intention, the intention being that you read it as Bowser, whom likes to be the aggressor because of course he does, putting his tail between his legs, trying to get Lightning to technically start the fight. Now, his tail isn't placed in a way it's scared, but in a way it doesn't think Lightning is a threat. Then Lightning is wrapping his tail around his, trying to control it in a way, kind of lock it in, but Bowser just wants him as close as possible. Then he hits him with an attack of some sort, mentally, physically, doesn't matter. But I just think having their tails communicate is really cool. And I want that to be something that is always happening between them, even if the conversation isn't between two of them. Like if two other characters are talking and they're just like watching, they're still having that conversation. This drawing actually took quite a while, and I actually took a lot of breaks from it because I was struggling and stressing over Lightning and how he looked, but obviously I've got to keep pressing forward and just finish something. That way we can improve and do better for the next one, which I think the next one I do with these two are going to be so much better than this. So I'm very happy that I got this practice in. But I also made sure to draw Lightning with his sword. That way we had an example of him holding it. I feel like that was very important. But in the drawing, basically Bowser is poking fun at him for his sword being pink, and Lightning's saying what's wrong with pink, which I find very entertaining. Bowser is just kind of like one of those guys who will poke and prod for the silliest things, and I just think that exchange is to a T their relationship. But that is it for this drawing. I hope you liked it. Honestly, I'm really happy with this, especially the way Bowser looks. Lightning, give or take, maybe in it's been a couple days. I like it. Maybe a couple days I'll hate it again. But I just really like how Bowser looks in this. I really like how it captures their energy, their relationship. And I'm also very happy with the height difference, which is the reason we were drawing this anyway. So that's good that we got that understood. All right, let's move on to the Pixie Sticks YCH, but we can talk about Lightning's hair. Yes, I often don't understand it, but his hair has been a staple for him ever since I made him. So I really refuse to change it. I just force it to work. Since this is something I need to nail down before ever considering my comic, frankly, I'm going to animate it. So I have to redraw it several times. This is mostly just for filler, and it isn't too important to today's episode. But I do just want to make sure I nail his hair flow down. It's not going to be that extreme, but it'll be enough to where I get some practice. But it's been a little bit since I've done this YCH, and I'm glad I did it with Lightning first because I do owe this YCH for someone, at least right now. And I like to get a refresher on my YCHs before I do them for other people. The first ones turn out good, don't get me wrong. They're quality, they're good. But the second ones are always a little better, and I get a little bit of a better. I have an easier time of it, let's say that. I tend to do this with my more YCHs that aren't being commissioned as often. I like to make sure people are getting my best work, or at least I try. So I'll run it through, one of my other characters, or my simpler characters, or my practice characters, just to get a refresher. A refresher's always good. But Lightning's Pixie Stick took about 4 hours to draw. That's not including the editing time, because my YCHs, for the most part, are pre-edited, because I can just replace the previous files I used. But it still takes a little bit of time to make sure it looks good, and sometimes I need to add more to the animation because sometimes characters are more detailed than what I've done before. I also did both of Lightning's palettes. Figured I was drawing it, I might as well give him more art and add another version. I think it probably only added an extra hour to the drawing, maybe a little more, but it wasn't that difficult for me to do, so I figured I'd do it. I tend to do that in general, even for commissions or requested art. If someone has another version of the character that's simple, I'll just do both. Because if it's simple and easy for me to do, I might as well do it. Just be nice. But that is all. I'll let the animation play so you can see it, but it won't have the audio due to copyright reasons. If you want to see the finals, they will be posted on my extra channel this week, KateKruzan Extra. On to Toy House. Okay. Now, I typically add things to Toy House right after I finish them, just because I can tend to procrastinate stuff and then I forget where I put things. I just need to make sure they're organized, done, and on Toy House, and I'm done with the files. I don't need to touch them unless I'm using them for a future project or whatever. It's just easier to maintain organization that way. So I have already added everything to Toy House, but I have not fixed his YouTube page and Shorts page on the side. So I'm going to do that. I just have to add all past videos he's been in, add his YouTube playlist, add links, pictures, all that jazz. Now, the biggest thing I've learned from doing stuff on Toy House is you don't really need to use codes. A lot of people make it a big thing oh, I need to work on my Toy House code, I need to work on my Toy House code. Or else they think it won't look good. For the front pages, I do prefer code. But the simpler the better for the characters I don't use often. And if it's a character I really like my mini-me. Although her page is a maiden, so, check it out at your own own peril. But my mini-me, she will probably have the most in-depth code, and that'll be her thing. But for the most part, my other characters will probably not have that much for their main page. But all the other tabs, they don't need anything. They don't need all this crazy stuff. I think the simpler the better is what I've really just learned. And especially because other people will be looking at my pages. It's just like, that's a given. Because I post about it a lot. And I want people to look at my pages. I want it to be easy to read. I want it to be clean. I want it to be good. I've been to some people's pages on Toyhou.se. And like, obviously Toyhou.se is most like, it's not, a lot of people just use it for them. But I like my things being viewed. But I go to other people's Toyhou.se pages and I can't even like understand what I'm looking at. And I get really confused. I get really frustrated. Because I'm like, what am I doing? I get especially frustrating with people who are hosting raffles, and I go to subscribe to them or like follow to like look at their future like characters or whatever, and I can't find the buttons, and it's just a mess. So I really don't want people to feel frustrated when they go to look at mine. I actually need to update my front page on Toyhou.se. There's like one picture that's missing, but I really want it to look clean so people don't get frustrated when they look at my characters. And if you have any critiques for my like Toyhou.se layouts, so helpful. It would be very, very helpful. Now, while I was working on Lightning's YouTube tab, I realized I actually didn't render GIFs for his contact meme, or render GIFs for like his Cupcake YCH, Lollipop YCH, and then like shorts for some other stuff. I was really not happy to realize this because I thought this would be relatively quick, but I really should have known better. I always end up spending like 2 hours at the minimum on a Toyhou.se session. Like, it takes a while. And the thing that is so annoying about this is some of it's old content, like the Contact YCH I did. So it was just like an unorganized mess. And the system I had it filed under was terrible. So I had to fix it and had to try to figure out what old Katie did with the files. So it was really overwhelming. But I mean, the majority of things I do with Toyhou.se I enjoy. So at the end of the day, I'm okay with doing the annoying parts, but I will complain about it. To be fair, it's really past me's fault for not rendering stuff the minute I finished a project, and I've definitely learned that as I've used Toyhou.se more. While I am working here on Toyhou.se, on Lightning's Toyhou.se, I'm actually going to update his art fight page and his new refs, add his new refs and pictures, and also go to Unveil, a different kind of website that's like Toyhou.se, and make him a profile. I like having Unveil as a backup to my Toyhou.se. Since I like going more in depth on Toyhou.se, I'll just use Unveil for the basic stuff. And I really like the character trait section on Unveil. I really want to spend some time writing Lightning's traits out eventually. But that goes for all my characters, to be fair. But Unveil is really pretty cool, I think. But it's new also. So I'm hoping they'll have some new features I will really enjoy. I'm kind of viewing it right now as an investment for now. And something I can use besides Toyhou.se, and that if people don't have Toyhou.se and they follow my YouTube and they want to go look at my characters, they can go to Unveil. But my Unveil is still a little, it does not have it has a sneeze of all my characters on Toyhou.se. So it's still a work in progress for me. Now for Art Fight, I want to make sure it is up to date as much as I can for 2025. I'm really hoping to kick some art butt this year, even more than I did last year. And if you are interested in participating in Art Fight this year, my advice is to make a prep list of the characters you want to attack. Personally, I don't care about the team aspect. If someone is avidly sending me art, I'm going to send art back, or at least make the best effort. But I have started my list on my page of people I want to attack. They are people who participated last year, and I very much like a lot of those characters. But it is really better to get a list started, the sooner the better, so it's out of the way. I still have a few people I want to add, but it's started, so I have a starting spot when Art Fight comes along. But that's it for page maintenance. Let me know if you see any flaws on my Toyhou.se page, or if you click any links that are incorrect. I do double check them, but sometimes, I still do make mistakes. Also, if you have any critiques, feel free to let me know what they are. Thank you so much for spending time with me and Lightning today. Let me know what character featured in today's video was your favorite. We did Lightning, of course, was the main character, but we did Diane and Bowser. Let me know if you like them better. Or let me know if you're wanting to hear or see their character files sooner rather than later. But also let me know your thoughts on Lightning. That's the big thing. Be sure to tell me what you think about him. Anyway, the next character file will be on my character Marissa. So if you're interested in that, have noticed on and come back next week on the 13th. I can't wait to see you again. Stay safe, and I love you. Not sure I can say the same for Lightning, though. I suppose that just depends on what you comment. Oh, and before we go, let me know what you want to see in Lightning's next character file. Let me know if you have any ideas of what I should work on. The things I think I should work on are a head rotation, like a head rotation chart, and work on his choker, if it's going to have magical powers, what it's going to be in plot, and stuff like that. But if you have any suggestions or ideas, let me know. That would be really, really helpful. Bye. I love you. Stay safe.